to Singing Boston. I'm Kelly, and today we're going to make honey pecan granola. Now that the bees are buttoned up for the winter, I wanted something fun to make with some of the honey. So we eat a lot of granola, so I thought that would be kind of a natural place to start. So today I'll share the base recipe that I use with you, and then talk about how I vary it from there. I'm going to start with a ginormous bowl so that I don't make a big mess when I'm mixing it up. And in there, I'm going to put 4 cups of rolled oats, a 1/4 cup each of shredded coconut, pecans, coconut oil, all-purpose flour, a 1/2 teaspoon each of cinnamon and vanilla, and last but not least, a 1/2 cup of honey. Here's the best part. You get to put exactly what you want in it and leave out anything you don't like. I start right away with taking out the all-purpose flour. I found some great unflavored protein powder at a local health food store, and so I substitute that 1 for 1 for the flour. So I just dump that in here. We do like coconut, so we use a shredded coconut. If you didn't like it, don't put it in. We love pecans, so I only start with a 1/4 cup, and I usually add about a 1/2. That's a little bit big, so what I'm going to do is dump it in my little chopper here. This is a handy little tool. Now, if you don't like nuts in yours, you get to leave them out. If you want walnuts, or you want whatever other kind of nut you want, you get to put yours in there. You want kind of a rough chop. We like to be able to taste them. And if they're too finely chopped, then you can't really taste them. Take my coconut oil. If you want, you can melt this, so it'll be a little bit easier to mix up. But I'm going to go ahead. It's pretty soft, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like that. I'm going to do my 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And actually, I'm usually a little more generous. We like a little extra, so I do a heaping. And my 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to do a little bit of a generous pour on that. Now, my honey. And if you don't have one of these little gadgets, they are so handy. This one is from Pampered Chef. To be honest, I'm not sure if anybody else makes them. That's the only place I've ever seen it. So now what's cool is this is my base recipe. So if your whole family likes the base recipe, start with that. What I'm going to do is, when I get this all mixed up, I am going to add cranberries to 1/2 of it. So I'm going to put 1/2 of it on my cookie sheet, and then I'm going to mix in some cranberries. Because my best guy, Nick, loves cranberries, I'm not so wild about them in granola. So that's the beauty of this. You get to customize to what you like and what you don't like. And literally, it takes you longer to get the ingredients out of the cupboard than it does to mix it up. I use a spoon that has kind of a sharp edge here, because with the honey, you kind of just mix it up and chop it into it. So you kind of cut any big balls of honey in half. And we all know that real honey will crystallize. So if yours is crystallized a little bit too much to use, just warm it gently over some warm water. I'm going to have a lumpy mix because the coconut oil and the honey are going to melt in the oven. I am going to use an ungreased baking sheet because we like it when it gets chunky and lumpy. And if you grease it, then it tends to not be as lumpy. If you do want it kind of fine, then go ahead and grease your sheet. You want a rimmed baking sheet. And as I mentioned, I'm going to take 1/2 and put on a baking sheet. And then I'm going to take the other 1/2, a little bit more for me there, and I'm going to add cranberries. And if you wanted raisins or dates, whatever you wanted, that's the beauty of this. I'd never made granola before, and to be honest, I was really surprised at how easy it was and how healthy it is, because now I know exactly what's in it. One of the things I haven't tried yet, but I do want to try, is some chocolate. I've been watching the Great British Baking Show, and I love how they say chocolate. So I'm thinking some chocolate chunks would be super yummy in this. Probably added either after baking or right towards the end. I have to experiment with that yet. I'm going to put the recipe for this in the description. And then again, that's just the base recipe. Modify it to your heart's content from there. It's going to bake at 325, first for 10 minutes, then about every 5 minutes for another 10 to 15 minutes. Give it a stir. Again, we like chunks, so I take it with a metal spatula, and instead of really shaking it up and loosening it up, I'll just scrape underneath it and leave big chunks. All right, that's it, and into the oven we go. All right, so I'm taking it out for its first stir. It's been 10 minutes, and you can see I'm going to leave it in chunks. If I wanted it fine, I would just kind of mix it all up. And I'm going to do this for both pans, the one with the cranberries and this one, which obviously does not have them. Now I'm going to check it again in 5 minutes and do the same thing. If I want it chunky, I may actually even leave it sit for another 10 minutes. And I'm going to leave it until it's nice and brown and crispy looking. All right, there we go out of the oven, all nice and brown and crunchy looking. So be sure to store it in an airtight container and enjoy. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we keep you in the loop on future upcoming videos. Yum.